Hello, my friends, and welcome. So, you all know that I'm a fan of Star Trek and that I've spent many hours on this channel talking about Star Trek and the things that have happened. But there's more news, so I figured I'd do a video and talk about it. Here we go. Okay, so here's the deal. Now, there's a new rumor going out that since Paramount has been sold to new owners, and they're going to be doing a new Star Trek.
Oh, shit.
Apparently, there's a couple of guys they're going to hand it off to. These are the guys that, and this is all just what I'm hearing, so this is all rumor. I don't know how true this is. We'll see what actually happens. They've been floating Star Trek rumors about movies and stuff for several years. So anymore, I mean, how many times have they told us a Star Trek 4 was coming and then it didn't come, and then they reannounced it and then it didn't come and then they reannounced. Anyway, so we, as Star Trek fans, we've been dealing with this stuff for a while.
How can you be deaf with ears like that?
Now, I am an OG Star Trek fan, okay? I grew up watching the original Star Trek, okay? And was a huge fan of everything Star Trek up until 2009. And even the first movie that J.J. Abrams did, although I didn't love it, and I really disliked some of the things that they did with the characters and stuff, it was passable. I mean, it was a fun enough film set in the Star Trek world that I could be like, okay, not the best, but it's okay. And then after that, it was just downhill. I mean, everything since then, Into Darkness, Beyond, which was just beyond awful.
Wait! You may be wondering why the red suit. Well, that's so bad guys can't see me bleed. This guy's got the right idea. He wore the brown pants.
Worst, just the worst freaking thing ever. And that's to say nothing of the TV shows that they've done since then. Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, the stupid idiotic cartoon that they did.
What a bunch of hippy-dippy baloney.
And most of these, I will be honest, I have not watched them. I watched enough, a little bit here, a piece of there, but I have not watched any of Discovery because from the moment I heard the premise and the idea of that Star Trek, I was out. They were instituting gay characters and pushing them into the forefront, and it was just, you could just tell this was not going to be Star Trek. This was going to be woke narrative dressed up in Star Trek clothing. This was not going to be the Star Trek of old, where you got the coolest writing and the most intellectual kind of stories and storytelling, where you kind of got to see both sides, and then you decided where the truth lied between those sides. And sometimes the truth was literally between the sides. The truth wasn't on either side. You kind of had to figure that out as you went along, and it required something out of the watcher and the reader, if you ever read the books and stuff like that, which I did. I was into everything Star Trek growing up. Everything that was Star Trek, I was into it. And so when the new Star Trek started to come out, I thought, this is going to be great. It had a great cast. The Star Trek 2009, great cast. And here's the deal. I don't blame any of the actors in the projects that have come out since 2009, because they were just doing what they were given, and they did the best with what they got. But I mean, J.J. Abrams and Kurtzman and Secret Robot and Bad Robot and Secret Hideout, whatever the hell they call themselves, it was set up to be garbage. It was set up to be garbage by those guys. They didn't understand the franchise. They didn't know what they were doing. They didn't understand, and they didn't want to be tied down by what came before. They wanted to take somebody else's idea and use it as a vehicle for themselves.
It makes me just want to pick up whoever is standing closest to me
And just throw them through this window and out into the infinite abyss of nothingness.
I want to do it so bad.
I know you do, sir.
They had no desire to honor what had come before. And when you get that in something like Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who, I mean, any series of Stargate, doesn't matter what it is, sci-fi or not sci-fi, if you don't honor what came before, you just don't. Just don't. Because it's not fair. It's not fair to the creators. It's not fair to all the people that came before you and built this thing, this amazing thing that you come in and use as a personal pet project to push your political ideologies on other people. Something Gene Roddenberry, the creator of Star Trek, never did. He talked about things. I mean, he pushed the envelope. The first black and white, black person and white person kiss in the U.S. was on Star Trek. That was ever seen on national television was Star Trek. He pushed the boundaries. They pushed the envelopes. They had great writers and great stories, and you know, they really, but they never lost sight of what was truly important: telling great stories with great characters, using great actors. And it's just sad that this is. I mean, Star Trek. Honestly, I don't pay attention to anything Star Trek now. Because they've so horribly bastardized it. So with this announcement, I have some serious trepidation. And I think everybody from my generation and most people who love Star Trek and care about it do. I think we all are in that, what are they going to do now? Now, it's under new management. Doesn't mean it's going to be better. That means that there's hope. There's hope again. You see, for the first time in a long time, now they had a video come out that was created kind of under the umbrella of Star Trek, but it was not done by Kurtzman and J.J. Abrams. And it was basically a tribute to Kirk. I can't remember exactly what it's called. It's like something 8451. It's kind of a weird name. But it was just a short film. And it was created here a year and a half, 2 years ago, I think at the most. That's the most Star Trek thing I have seen in years. And everybody who saw it, whether they were new Star Trek fans or old Star Trek fans, I think it brought the best of Star Trek out. It reconnected us to Spock and Kirk, and it recaptured that magic. And most of the major players that were involved were old Star Trek people who had been involved with Star. You know, William Shatner was involved, and so many things. And it was kind of a tribute to Leonard Nimoy and the friendship between Spock, Kirk, and McCoy. McCoy wasn't in it, but I mean, it was that same feeling I got when in The Mandalorian, Luke Skywalker shows up at the end of season 2. It's that you get those fleeting moments when you think like finally somebody remembers what this is really all about.
That's not the way you're supposed to do it, Dad. They want us to do it this
I don't
way.
know that way. Why would they change math? Math is
it's
math.
okay,
Math
Dad.
is math.
Somebody gets it. Somebody understands why people love these things. And it just doesn't have to be. I mean, if we've learned anything from Star Trek and Star Wars and stuff, especially Star Trek, it doesn't have to be Spock, Kirk, and McCoy. It doesn't have to be Picard, Riker, Troy. It doesn't have to be, I mean, it doesn't have to be Cisco, Dax, and I mean, it doesn't have to be Janeway and Chakotay, and it doesn't have to be it. Like, Star Trek can continue on. You don't have to play in the same sandbox every time, but you do have to respect the lore. You have to respect the canon. You have to respect what came before. And that doesn't mean go back and do what J.J. Abrams tried to do, reboot everything and change everything so you don't have to adhere to any of the rules. And that's all he did. He didn't want to have to play by the rules that were established. He went in there, tried to create something different, and screwed everything up. Ruined everything. And then Kurtzman took over and just double, triple, and quadrupled down. And so that's what we've gotten out of Star Trek is just garbage, because they've been putting garbage in, they've been getting garbage out, and nobody wants that. So for this moment in time, I'm going to hold out a little ray of hope. Not much, but a little ray. Apparently these guys rebooted Dungeons and Dragons. I thought that was an okay film. Everybody seemed to love it way more than I did. I thought it was passable. I thought it was all right, and the acting was okay and stuff. But I think these guys also did a couple of other projects that were fairly successful and stuff. But that doesn't mean they get Star Trek. Now, if I hear that they're going back and they're getting Rick Berman and they're getting the guys that were doing Harv Bennett, which I don't know that Harv Bennett's still alive, but they're going back and getting those people who truly understood Star Trek. And even the Berman and Bennett era had their issues. They weren't exactly perfect, but those guys understood what Star Trek was. And as long as we get some sense that they are honoring what came before while maybe trying to break a little bit of new ground. But I mean, we broke new ground with Next Generation. We broke new ground with Deep Space Nine, with Voyager, with Enterprise. Enterprise was probably one of my least favorite adaptations, but I thought it was still good. It was still Star Trek. It still had that feel of Star Trek. But when you've got a guy like Seth MacFarlane, who's making more and more accurate Star Trek than Star Trek with his show, The Orville, at least in season 1 and season 2. Season 3, he went off the deep end and went full new age, wokeista, whatever you want to call it, and just he ruined The Orville by doing the same thing that J.J. Abrams and Kurtzman, Alex Kurtzman has done. So it's just like, well, that lasted for a minute and a half. But I mean, he basically started out as a spoof, tried to go serious, and just went woke. And it ruined what the Orville started out as and what made the Orville funny and different and unique and something to, be interested in. After season 3, I was like, okay, I'm done. Because he just lost everything that had made the show kind of good in the first couple of seasons. And then that's what happens when they pulled away from Fox, which Fox was kind of holding them in check, and they went to Hulu, and then Hulu was just like, you can just go crazy. And so they did. But anyway, so I'm going to hold out hope that we might get something like Star Trek again, like real Star Trek. I am so hopeful and wishing for real Star Trek again, because I miss that excitement in my life. I remember waiting for each film to come out. I remember waiting for each new show to come out. I remember waiting for episodes to come out and seeing the differences and the fact that they would change things a little bit and they'd tweak stuff a little bit here and there, but they never went off the deep end until after Kurtzman and Abrams took over. And then that's when just everything went wrong. And so I hope these two that are starting these projects go in and find people who truly understand Star Trek, even if they go get some mega fans and are like, all right, and that kind of help them and watch them through the process to keep them on the straight and narrow. And I don't want these to be people who are in there trying to write their own fan fictions. Like, we don't need any more fan fictions. We need people who go in and their job is to simply keep these people in line, keep them in line with canon and the structure and what came before. And that's what we're hoping for. That's what I'm hoping for. So let me know what you guys think. Do you even care about Star Trek? I mean, I will always care about Star Trek. But me, if I bought the franchise, which, I mean, there for a while, it was being devalued so much by the idiots that were running it. I felt like, you know what, at some point in the future, I might have a chance to buy this for like $50. But it was like, I guess not. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. But like I said, are you cautiously optimistic? Are you super optimistic? I was just reading an article by some guy that posted it on Facebook, I believe. Let me see if I can pull it up here. No, it's gone. Anyway, so a Silver Screen Hub, and they were talking about, and they were trying to basically they were saying, "Oh, we're so excited, we're not getting a 4, which we wish we were getting Star Trek 4." From the new crew. It is like, no, nobody wishes that. Not now. Nope. No, that's done. And they were like, and then Michael Burnham, a hero, was brought in, and I'm just like, okay, you're just a scumbag who's in the tank for what's his face, and I'm just like, no. And we don't need people like whoever wrote that article for Silver Screen Hub anywhere near Star Trek, because they don't know what it is. They think it's what has been happening since 2009, and it's not. The OG is what they need to follow. Nothing of what's new, of what they've been doing since 2009. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments, and we will talk to you next time. Bye now.